deplorable roads in Edo State, the deplorable federal roads, and looking at the action of the government of Edo State in terms of drawing attention of the federal government to it or running palliatives on the road. Well, we have it where the state governor, Mr. Gordon Obaseki, said the state government cannot intervene in fixing the Benin Auchi and Benin Saple roads because the federal government has already awarded contracts for the repairs of the roads. Looking at the need for us to take a close look at that, Obaseki disclosed this to journalists after the monthly Security Council meeting held in Government House. And the government said that as much as Edo State is a transportation hub, it is concerned on the major federal roads network in the state, which connects several parts of the country, but they are in bad condition. He noted that his administration has done everything in its power to appeal to the federal government to look into the repairs of the wide span of damaged federal roads in Edo State. Obaseki also added that his administration has drawn the attention of the federal government to the failed portions of Benin Auchi roads, Benin Saple roads, Benin Lagos road, particularly the Ovia River Bridge, but nothing has been done as we speak. According to him, he said, look at the incident that happened in Ovia River Bridge some weeks back, in which a lot of lives were lost following multiple accidents. Nothing has been done till now, according to the governor. This shows that they don't care about us in the state, quoting the governor. The issue on the Benin Lagos road, particularly the Ovia River crossing, is becoming catastrophic. We have lost a lot of lives and done everything to get the federal government and the Federal Ministry of Works to work with us and put it in place in terms of palliative measures to stop the carnage on that road, so the governor said. Well, on Saple Road, he also said that the Saple Road, recently he was there, and after the heavy downpour, the road was impassable. And we're going to be showing clips in that direction as we pan along all of this. He said that I don't think any region where the oil resources that sustain the country came from should be this neglected, according to the governor. He said he has done everything possible, his government has done everything possible, and he doesn't know what to do again to draw the attention of the federal government to these roads. He continued that the Auchi-Ibilo road was so bad that some of the contractors couldn't even go to their quarry site. And he said that they appealed to the federal government to do palliative work on those roads, but they refused, saying that the road is under contract. And a lot has been said, but let's look at the statement credited to the governor as a reason for not being able to fix these roads palliatively. But joining me to discuss this in the studio, I have a former SSA to the governor of Edo State, a public affairs analyst, Christopher Ojekere. Thanks for joining me, Christopher.
Yeah, Philip, good morning.
Yeah, as you can see, that could be the government vehicle belonging to the #1 citizen of the state, obviously, still in the trap of that flood in Sapele Road. And this is quite excruciating because it seems even the governor is also being pinked by what we have here.
And that's why it should be ridiculous for anybody to think that if the governor is also suffering the kind of inconvenience that he suffered there in commuting from one point of the state to another to carry out his responsibility as governor, that he would enjoy doing that. How much does it cost to do palliatives? How many kilometers of spoiled road within Edo State that will be difficult for Edo State to do? Why do people close their eyes to facts and they choose to thrive on speculations? Because they will not find out facts. Last year, 2022, after the third virtual meeting of the Federal Executive Council, Lai Mohammed addressed the nation, and all conventional media, newspapers and television carried that news, that the federal government was no longer going to pay states for any work states would undertake on federal roads in their states. And he cited the reason that when they had to pay the bill of 36 state governors who submitted bills It amounted to about 550 something billion, heading towards 600 billion. And that because of that, they will no longer pay, even if you do it from your pocket. That statement in itself became an albatross for opposition states. We don't do anything in Nigeria without factoring in our peculiar political arrangement and environment, where we bring in politics to everything that we do. And to analyze it with that factor, it will be short of the full analysis. We know how federal government will always want to muscle. We know particularly what they are doing, for instance, concerning Edo State. Obaseki is of the opposition party to the federal government in power. And therefore, he has cited instances. Have you heard any federal government official come to deny those instances? He wanted to fix Auchi Ibilo roads, and then he came up with all sorts of bottlenecks, and they told him they have already awarded the road. He wanted to do palliatives on this Apple road that you have just mentioned, and they told him the same thing. And now Ovia issue had happened, and the entire country was aware of what happened in Ovia, and that's the federal government road. And Obaseki cried out, up till now, are you aware, maybe you will give me the information, that the federal government is doing something about that? So the point is, politics have crept in, and Obaseki has not relented. And that is why he came out in the public space to cry. Have you heard any counter information officially from the federal government saying Obaseki didn't cry that he wanted to fix the big road, or he didn't cry that he wanted to fix Sapler road?
All right. Let's get your reaction to that, Professor Julius.
Philip, you know, the current discussion is very, very annoying. That is the honest truth. It's unfortunate that many of us laid back in 1999 and allowed people without conscience, people without the empathy of the public to come into governance. And since then, we have been held captive in this country. And that is what we are saying. When we bring in this issue of politics into cases of welfare, you're simply saying that you don't want to do anything. You don't want to work. That is what it means. So you mean if a road passed through the front of your house and you couldn't come out for daily responsibility from your house, then you won't fix it because it is federal government that will come there. At the end of the day, the people who are dying on these roads in our environment are people from citizens of your state, those whom you depended on to come to power. So somehow, because you need to dispense responsibility, you need to, by any means, get across to government. Because when it comes to issue of this political party and all that, I disagree, because there's no party in Nigeria. We have those with or without. That's what we have. Those who are in power and wanting to undo. We have enemies.
So what you're saying is that the reason by the state governor is not cogent enough.
No, because if it's
from the clip we are seeing,
any of them go
from the clip we are seeing,
yes,
he is also a victim, you know, in the challenge that we are faced with.
That is why he needs to push more.
Okay.
I'm not saying governor go to court because something that happened in another state, the federal government refused it to happen in Edo State.
Let's take your comment on this, Ahmed Mamadou. Let's get your viewpoint on this because you've been following records of what has been happening in Nigeria, in Edo State particularly.
Let me jump on what Prof has said. Let me just use that as the background. So if what the SSC is saying is correct, then Lai Mohammed came out last year and said the federal government was not going to refund monies for jobs that have been executed. My question is very simply, did Obaseki submit anything to request for job that he has done, just as other governors have done and are asking for refunds? No. So what we are facing is the serial lies and betrayal and failure of the administration coming out with excuses upon excuses upon excuses. If the federal government is going to do a refund today, it is going to refund to states. Edo State is not even one of the people who has said, I have done this job, refund me my money. And the excuse of being in opposition is a watery excuse. For 4 years, the Obaseki administration was in the mainstream. It's only in the later part it went into opposition. So where is the job he did for the 4 years that he has not been refunded? Now, besides that being a watery excuse, before Lai Mohammed came up and said there's not going to be any refund, the federal government told the state governments, you are subnational. If you want to do federal roads, all we require is a proper auditing process and be able to look into your books and see how these jobs were awarded, the level of the job, if it is up to the standard that we require, and your monies will be refunded. Are we not in the same country where Governor Wike came out and told us the marvelous jobs that he's doing is because of the refund he got from the federal government, commissioning flyovers every other weekend, and then Edo State is just a neighboring state? What did Obaseki do with all that money? So some of these excuses are pedestrian. They are absolutely disgusting. And like the prof said, it's a very simple matter. If you are affected by it and your people are affected by it, you must go to any length to find a solution that is workable.
Okay,
the government doesn't exist in abeyance.
Let's look at the way forward, Christopher Ojekere, because a lot has been said here. Yeah. Must the governor just sit back or rest on his oars? Just because
when I hear
shouldn't there be a way to find, a means to look into the issues of running palliatives on the road, or fixing the road, and then later giving the estimates to the federal government?
When I hear people talk outside of government and outside of the bitterness within, between political parties, and then everybody wants to heap blame, what doesn't convince me is when I don't hear them lend the voice to say, why is the federal government not doing his responsibility? Is it not funny that everybody puts the blame on the person whose responsibility it is not?
You are hinging it on the fact that the federal government,
I am saying that the direct responsibility of fixing
that the party in the state is in opposition,
the direct
of the party in the center.
No, I'm saying to you that the direct responsibility of fixing federal road belongs to the federal government. And I should expect that if you are going to have bitter criticisms, it is against the federal government who has refused to do his job. And you are not putting the blame on the man who has not helped.
Is there no better ways? Is there no better ways to engage the federal government, like what the professor said? How there be issues where the federal government is also taken to court?
I would have been very glad.
Why aren't we looking at the other avenues to draw the attention of the federal government?
Glad,
through litigations, for instance.
I would have been very glad if you would give me the better ways. How can litigations that would drag on forever be a better way to dialogue? How can litigations be a better way to application? Litigation that would drag on forever, that you still spend Edo State's money litigating?
So you seem to say that there's no way out of this doldrum?
I am saying the way out of this doldrum is for Edo State citizens to put pressure on the federal government, on whose responsibility it is to fix the roads. Not to encourage Edo State to spend its money to begin to litigate. And in any case, the law is clear. Are you going to litigate against a federal government's policy? It is ignorance that makes you say that you are going to litigate against a policy.
In 1 minute, let's get your reaction, Professor Julius Yasele, why we expect to get reactions from
There is what we call organogram in organizations. The public here now will now begin to fight government in Abuja when we have a state to go through. It is, I'm bewildered. My take here is we put pressure on our state government, and then our state government will put pressure on the federal. That is what a channel.
But I wonder why Prof has not addressed the fact that the government has given you several examples where he has tried to put pressure, and he has told you he doesn't know what to do again.
But other states are putting pressure and getting results.
Which results? Which states?
So what you're just saying that he said if the people don't come out, it becomes a hopeless case.
Exactly.
Because the state government has exhausted this avenue to draw the attention of the federal government.
People have to put pressure on the federal government.
Let's get your viewpoint in 1 minute as we wrap up. Ahmed Momodu.
The import of what the SSA has just said is that we should wait for another administration to come. Obaseki is at his wit's end.
Why do you wait for another administration before you make demand for what you need?
Clear. I did not interrupt you. Please be civil in your engagement. Now, what is clear is that we are only going to continue to get excuses. Edo State is not the only government only state that has federal roads running through it. Edo State cannot be the exception. Edo State is not the only state that has an opposition government as a subnational government. All these are flimsy, pedestrian, and baseless excuses,
which you have not given any proof for.
Failure to government. Now, if you have your palliatives, why is Edo State not one of the states that is demanding for a reform?
All right, thank you.
Other states are demanding for a
because
reform.
you have refused to hear
Thank you,
that the
Ahmed
federal
Momodu.
government has a policy against that.
Thank you, Ahmed Momodu. We will continue to engage the process. Thank you, Ahmed Momodu. We will continue to engage the process. A lot has been said, Ahmed Momodu. Thank you so much. A lot has been said. We will continue to engage the process. We have an issue where even on the news, ECPOMA is already out. It's already cut out in terms of
is cut out.
motorists.
Is cut
Motorists
out. Is that
flying
Edo
Benin
State?
Auchi Road can't even access Auchi through ECPOMA. So they are now using alternative routes, to get to the northern part of Nigeria. Now, how much of this can we wait for? Well, the state government has already said a lot has been exhausted at their level, and the people of the state should cry out to the federal government. And Professor Julius Iyasele was saying that, well, the only representative government we have for the people is the state government. So why would the state government now pass its responsibility back to the people? A lot has been said, but we continue to interrogate the process as we say big thanks to you, Christopher Ojekere, for taking the time to be part of this. And of course, Professor Julius Iyasele, thank you so much.
Thank you for
having me. And of course, to you, Ahmed Momodu, all the way from Texas, Austin, joining us via Zoom. Big thanks to you.